Welcome to the Morse Code Podcast, where we talk with entrepreneurially minded creatives in music, film, and writing. My name is Corby, and I'm hoping these conversations inspire you to push deeper into your own work, whether you're a full-time professional or just starting out on your own creative odyssey. This is the first episode of Season 2. We've got a new producer, Jared Hammond's here, a new logo, welcome back, Jack, and a new slate of amazing guests. I can't believe I've tricked these people into talking to me and telling me their secrets. Speaking of guests, I'm super excited to share this guest with you straight from a certain hit TV show set in the fictional town of Hawkins, Indiana. Before I do that, I want to let you know I'm fighting a personal battle of just, like advocating for yourself and getting better at asking for what you want. I don't know if you face that challenge, but I do. And in terms of this podcast, I really love this podcast and I believe in its mission. And to that end, I want to grow it and I need your help to do that. So here I'm asking you to give me a 5-star rating on the Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And if you're watching on YouTube, like and subscribe. All right, super excited to bring you my next guest, actor and director Mason Mecartea. He plays Cole in Damien Leone's Terrifier 3, which just opened last weekend in theaters everywhere. Before that, he played Dan Shelter in Stranger Things, and he's got a lot of other roles out there if you check his IMDb, especially for a dude as young as him. I met Mason on the set of a music video my wife, Randa, was producing. I think I was in charge of the snacks on that one. And I was struck meeting Mason by two things. The dude is an effortless actor, but more than that, he's just got this open-hearted, genuine demeanor that makes you kind of want to like him and help him out. With some people, there's an inverse relationship to talent and personality, as in some very capable artists are real assholes. Mason's not like that. I wanted to talk to him because apart from his impressive CD, the dude is always making stuff. He might even spend more time behind the camera as in front of it. And people who do that tend to be interesting to talk to. So let's talk to him. Mason Mecartea on the Morse Code Podcast.
There has got to be more than this.
Mason Mecartea. Thank you. Thanks for coming by, man.
Thank you. Oh my gosh.
Did I get the name right?
You did.
There's some names that really lend themselves well to accents, and I feel like yours is like it goes right to the Irish.
Well, I know, and I think it is. My mom told me a great story. It was my dad's middle name. So it was my grandpa's middle name, and so when I was born, they gave that to me.
Mason?
Mecartea.
Mecartea.
Mecartea was my middle name, or his middle name.
Is your stage name?
It is my stage name, so it's not my last name.
Whoa.
Oops.
I'm
Sorry,
not going to
guys.
divulge that. Somebody's going to have to.
There's a lot of people
Dig.
from high school that are like Mason Hull. That's my last name, Hull.
Hull.
But I'm like, I haven't heard that in a minute, But
That's funny, man. You created a new identity, and I want to get into that. Your various locations that you've lived in, one of which we share. Well, two of which we share here in Nashville, and I'm also from the Pacific Northwest, where I spent a good 10-year stint up there before they let me out. And the others of your various enterprises. I mean, like, dude, for such a young man, you're a really busy guy.
Wow.
And one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on the pod was because not only are you a talented actor, but you're there's a lot of people that have that kind of talent, but sort of wait to be in demand, wait for the phone to ring, as it said. But you don't do that, man. You are going after it, and you're producing, you're directing music videos. You're just like a creative filmmaker.
Thank you.
And I think that's a really exciting aspect of what you do, and also something that would be inspiring to other people, and it'd be fun to talk about that.
Yeah.
What motivated you to do that and pivot? But firstly, okay, as of this airing, you'll have a brand new movie that just came out.
I will.
Terrifier 3.
That's right.
I'm going to guess that this is third in the series.
It is the third in the series.
Well, so let's talk about that. It's like an homage to an 80s slasher film.
Oh my
Fair to say?
gosh. Well, precisely. It's like it's written and directed by Damien Leone, who's this just uber talented movie fanatic. He I don't know if he actually got started in special effects, but Terrifier came from his love of special effects in 80s and 70s horror cinema. And so he had done a couple horror films, and then in one anthology film he made, he had created this character named Art the Clown, and then that guy blew up, and so then he made Terrifier, which was just about Art the Clown, and it just leans so hard into like the old school practical effects, like all the kills are just real puppets and blood, and it's
My
it's
mind goes to
crazy.
Chucky. Is that a fair comparison?
I could say so. I would even like when I was on set, it felt like The Thing, you know, because like there were just blood bags everywhere, and there was, oh my gosh, like they had to make a dummy of my body just to mute. Oh, okay, it's yeah, but like it's you know what happens, but it
I
it's
don't, but
just-
it doesn't sound like it ends well
it's
for
not
you.
good. I definitely I hang around and I'm having my fun, and then I'm not for sure. So, but yeah, just definitely the classic kind of 80s horror way of doing things. So it leans pretty hard into it.
Are you like a principal or the boyfriend? Or
Yeah, so this one picks up right after the second one, and it follows Jonathan and Sienna, who both they're brother and sister, and they survived Art the Clown in the second one. And so I'm Jonathan's roommate in college, and he's trying to move on with his life, and it's definitely a difficult thing to just get over, is surviving this crazy serial killer running around.
Sounds
So,
traumatic, yeah.
So I'm around him, but I'm a little naive to like how serious his past was, and I think there's a levity that I just kind of bring to like I'm in my own world, you know. So when I'm around, I'm just kind of like, I don't know what's going on, whatever. And then I come face to face a little bit with what he's dealing with. So yeah.
So did Damien cast
That's right.
you?
Yeah.
And did you audition for it? Did you just called up and asked to do it? I'm
I
always curious how castings go. It's always a story in itself a lot of times. Whatever you can share too.
I was familiar with Terrifier. I remember seeing on Twitter one of the kill scenes. I was with my friends, and I think we were all just like, "Oh my gosh!" Like it was just like a lot, and I think it grossed me out. I was like, "Ugh," it freaked me out.
Yeah.
And so then later, my management team had sent me an audition for Terrifier 3, and I knew exactly what it was. I was like, "Oh, Terrifier!" I was like, "Oh man," I was like, "That sounds scary, dude." But I love trying my best and sending a good tape, and of course, I knew that was like a huge fan base and franchise. So I was like, "Oh my gosh, well, I don't know if I fit, but all right, we'll see what I can do." And so, they sent me sides from the second movie, so they're really secretive about things, and that was really cool. But anyways,
you read as a different character since
did.
it was from the second movie.
That's
Yeah,
right.
nice.
And I think I read there's a guy in the second one, and anyways, kind of similar but kind of not. But anyways, that was fun. But I taped it in a car. Like I kind of wanted to like expand. Like it was kind of basic, like guys in a car with his girlfriend. I was like, well, I'm just gonna go in my garage and like put it in the car, and it was fun. It was fun to experiment.
Nice.
Like
You set the
that.
camera up in the garage.
I just have
the
more
way
fun
to go,
that
dude.
way.
Yeah, that's so cool,
I
man.
know.
Getting creative with the audition, with the self tape.
Put up some lights, and you know, you kind of walk away feeling like you really threw yourself into it, because I feel like you're sharing with casting, like, here's me doing the part. Here's how I would do it. Like you kind of have it booked for like the couple hours that you're taping, or you know, of course, the window of audition. And so I love to treat it that way. So it's like, if it is fun and engaging for me to go in my backyard with my camera or something, it's like I'll go for it, you know. But as long as it's not so distracting for casting, but if anything, it shows them, oh, I can see this. I can see him do it or something.
I mean, in so many things, like in movies and music, anytime there's like clients or people that have to have imagination, the more that you can fill in the gaps for them, maybe the better.
Yeah.
Because it's not always so obvious that folks can make the leap that you might just expect them to.
Right. No,
you
for
know?
sure.
And also, it's just that reminds me, this is like a clip floating around on TikTok or maybe whatever, but from Bryan Cranston, like great advice from him. which had the effect was the audition is the gig, you know, and once you turn your mind toward that and not look at the audition as like a gateway to this other thing, but just be like, man, this is the gig. This right here, throw it all in. And not only to turn in a great tape or a great audition, but just to like have the reward that is acting.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
like there's nothing better. Well, there is something better than turning in a great audition, which is booking a gig.
Absolutely.
But don't get me wrong, casting directors out there.
Please more.
Yeah.
Yes.
Please more. But when you have fun acting, when you like actually like lose yourself, even no matter how small the role is, like the one line role, even or whatever, it feels great to turn in a piece.
Absolutely.
You like participated in art.
Yeah. I feel like it took me a really long time to be like, oh, this is the job, you know, because I was coming into the audition room with the perspective of, please, like, employ me, you know, like, give this to me, or like me, you know. And I feel like it going back and watching audition tapes, which I hate going back and watching my old audition tapes, but I was learning that I could clearly see that behind my eyes, that it was just kind of like, he's not secure, but he's hoping that you guys would make him secure so that he can maybe do this part or act in the movie. But when I found that, I realized, I flipped it, and I remember hearing that Bryan Cranston interview, and once I started doing that, I really feel like I was having more fun, and there was a lot of joy for the opportunity to just act, even if it was just here, if it lives and dies here, you know what I mean? But it really did open up more opportunities where I was getting feedback from casting at least, or like they were offering a different part, or, you know,
there was like a conversation or relationship starting to happen. Yeah. And
it blew my mind how simple it was to be like, oh, I should have just like, you know, thrown it all away from the beginning. But you got to figure that out, you know? It took me a while, but
we were talking in the kitchen a few minutes ago about just like how fun it is to be on set and just work on projects. And I think that this kind of connects to that in the sense that people want to work with people they just want to be around. Yeah. And if you make it, you know, I think I've been on both sides of the casting process, and it's great to see a tape and just be like, I like that guy. I'd hang out with that guy for a 3-week shoot. You know,
absolutely.
That guy's just like a fun dude or gal or person. So yeah, it's so much better than the person who's like,
I
please
know.
book
and
me.
That was me for so long, and I couldn't believe it. And I think the funniest thing was, man, this is funny. I auditioned for. Did you see Alien Romulus that came out recently?
I mean, recently,
new Alien movie,
but wasn't it a couple years ago?
No, it just came out in, a couple months ago.
Okay,
I think.
then no.
It's totally just a throwback to the old Ridley Scott Alien. But I remember reading for it and had a code name, but I knew immediately what it was. And I'm a huge fan of Alien. I was like, oh my God. I was like, this is mine. And I just remember I made that tape so unbearable to watch because I think I was trying so hard to be like, I'm the guy. Like, this is me. And I remember watching the movie a couple months ago and just watching the actors so effortlessly be so present and just live the world, live the lines, and live the character. And I just remember being like, I was not doing that. I was acting. I was trying to impress them. You know what I mean? And gosh, that was such a wake up call too. But it's really funny doing auditions, remembering your scenes, and then watching them, like the actors
who they booked. No, it's always
really
interesting.
eye-opening.
Yeah, it gives you a connection to the film when it comes out. Always like there's a film screening at the film festival that's in Nashville as of this taping right now. That is. I think its working title was Saturday Night Live 1979. Yeah. In 79 it would be. And I read for part, and I felt so good about the audition. Dude. And it was just like nutty and funny, but intense and like a great role. Gosh. And, you know, I didn't book it, but I'm so curious as who they booked. You know what I mean? Like I have a connection to this movie now. I've got to go see it.
Yes. That is one of my most anticipated for the rest of the year. I just think it looks amazing.
Yeah.
But, I hear you.
I mean, a period piece always, for sure.
Dude, yeah.
But such amazing. A storied subject as well. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, I'd love to talk about, this is what this is a way into this maybe because I want to go to Stranger Things for a second. But do you find? I mean, you're not a character actor. You're kind of like leading side and young, and who knows what the future's going to hold for you, young man. But do you find that you book a certain kind of role yet? Because I have a guess.
You know?
But I want to hear you say.
Well, okay. Not that I. Well, let me think. That's really interesting. I will say, looking at what I've booked, like I think the nice thing with auditions is that it's never felt like there's this one stereotype pretty much, but I am noticing what I've been booking, which is interesting. And and Cole in Terrifier, I don't think he's the same as this character Tim I played in this movie called Popular Theory, but I don't think he's the same as they're all different. And when I'm kind of looking at it, but at the same time, they do fit a little bit of an umbrella stereotype. Like Cole's in college and he's a little bit of a he's
a little bit of a prick.
Yeah, he's a little prick, but he's kind of got a soft side. But at the same time, I mean, you could kind of look at the Dan Shelter guy I played in Stranger Things and be like, oh, he's kind of the same as that. And Popular Theory, I'm a jock in that. And it's just, but it's funny because I don't find myself to be really mean or like demeaning to people, but
I don't find you to be that way either, but you kind of have like a little bit of a smart aleck thing that you can touch into pretty quick.
Okay.
I mean, you're doing it right
That's
now.
Good. Oh, yeah. All right. Well, cameras are rolling, I guess.
No, man, I got to say too, we've hung out on set. Maybe only one time I've known about you, and then I didn't meet you until this is like a couple years ago, and this is probably 100 music videos ago.
Oh my gosh!
But my wife Randa produced something for this country artist, and you were like the love interest on this set.
Oh,
and you were at the I don't know, you were just like this is probably 4 years ago. It might have been before the pandemic.
Wow,
I can't even remember. But I was just like, this guy is just an effortless actor. Like you're just kind of like I said earlier, somebody you want to hang out with on set. And also just like there's nothing that's like reserved or resistant in you. Like you're just like, you're game. That's what I'm trying to say. You're game. Man. And I think that's such a great quality that not everybody has. Some people are like a little bit squeamish about how they want to be presented or thoughtful, or you don't have a thought in your head, young man. I'm kidding. But you know what I mean? There's just like a caution. That's what I'm trying to say. And I feel like that's at least in that sense. And then just seeing your work on screen, it kind of comes off that way too. It's like very there's an effortlessness.
Oh man.
And maybe this is a fun philosophical moment. But I think I wonder, just get your opinion on your approach to acting. And one thing in my limited experience that I just find so crucial is this need to, it's got to be so effortless that there's as little trying as possible.
Yeah.
And it's a very subtle filament, of muscle fiber in body and spirit. And maybe we could just talk about like, how do you get into a character? What is your thought? Do you come from a school?
Dude, that's a great question. I grew up doing theater, and so I was so big. Like I was, I had no restraint on myself. I didn't know when my face was like this or something. Just crazy. Until I would go back and watch a video and I'd be like, oh my gosh. I was like, that's too much. But I loved movies so much, and I wanted to be a part of film and TV so bad. And so I think I really just started watching a lot of actors and then reading about like acclaimed performances and just like trying to break down why. But I really there is this kind of weird battle that I've been facing of just like, how much prep is too much prep? And then does that kill the effortlessness that is the spontaneity that comes the day of filming or something? You know what I mean? And it's weird because it's a handshake more than it's one or the other in a lot of ways, in my opinion. Because you got to know the world you're in. You got to know your playing field. You got to know the tools you have pretty much. And so I love like finding that stuff. And it's really just reading the script a lot, you know what I mean? And I feel like I always find new ideas, especially when it comes down to the moment you block the scene, that it's like, oh, this is very different than what I was reading. But here we are. And I feel like that work, you still got to trust that it's there inside of you. And you kind of got to let it go at the same time. So it's just kind of like, my focus is to be as present as possible with you and tell the story. So it's just, my eyes are in the world. I'm not looking at the cameras. I'm not feeling the cameras, but I'm focusing on bringing this moment to life. And so it's an ever long, like, did I get it? Did I figure that out? Did I nail it? Did I not? Until you watch it. And, but it's a fun race to run. And I really love the results whenever I can see present Mason in a scene. You know what I mean? And I can tell. And I don't, it's not that I like love watching myself or anything, but I can tell when I drop like, I'm thinking about my lines. I can tell when I'm like in it or out, and then it's like, ugh. But man, when you find yourself doing that, it feels really good, because it's like, oh, I did the work. It worked.
Well, you like, because you leap into the unknown in that crazy moment.
Yeah.
I mean, like, there's schools of thought that have nothing to do with creativity per se, but like in the Buddhist persuasion of just one-pointedness, or being present, present in the moment is a fine way of putting it. But that absence of self-awareness, that I feel like what we're all looking for, in whatever we do. And that with the acting, that's when I've ever tapped into it. It's like going under the knife on an operating table in a way. And like, have you ever had an operation before? Like where you've been put like under general anesthesia?
Actually.
Well, you have something to look forward to.
I can't wait.
But they're like, I've only had it a couple times, and I guess that's like a couple times. I love it. I'm in and out of the hospital regularly.
It's a frequent visit over here. Yeah.
I'm punching my car. I got a free one next time. But they have you like count backwards, like this. You've seen this in the movies or whatever. Yeah. And I, just to be just because I'm contrarian, I'm just like, I'm not gonna. It's like
you're fighting that.
9, 8,
I'm gonna stay
7,
awake,
and then you wake up.
Yep.
It's crazy.
Wow.
It's that simple. That's it. And it's like this stitch of time has been removed from your life in a weird way. And there's a comparison to that to me in acting, or if I'm playing music, if I'm like really lost in that moment of like, it happens for me more when I'm like writing music. If I'm really in there, like trying to figure out this line to a song, or even writing, where there's like a complete absence of self-awareness. It's such a great place to be. Like you're totally in it.
Yeah, wait.
You're in life.
Oh, I heard
all
a
the
phrase
way.
for this. What is it? It's like the flow state. The flow state.
That's
I mean,
what
like
they're talking about.
I think when I heard that phrase, I was like, oh, that makes total sense. Like I've felt that, but I haven't known what that is. It's like I haven't walked away and been like, oh,
I was in the flow state.
Yeah, I was in the whoa. Here I go into the flow state. Here we go. Let's enter. But it just happens, and it no, but I really relate to that. I feel like when the camera's rolling and you're running on set, I just feel like there is a sense of it happens so fast, and you gotta just kind of go.
Yeah.
Like it's just the most like, you ready? Who cares? Go. It's just like and I love that feeling, but it's not like just a turn it on thing like we just said, but I think it's a lot of focus, and it's just a lot of prep and determination to like go for it.
Yeah,
just start running.
In a way, isn't it easier than self-taping or just being in an audition? Self-taping, I guess, I'll restrict it to that, because in the self-tape, you're kind of like, it's like you're pushing it all uphill. It's all on your time. There's nobody's tapping their foot. There's not people standing around waiting. But when you're on set and it's like go time, you don't have that luxury. It's just like, as soon as the director is ready to go, dude, camera set, action, you're in it. It's like now or never.
Yes, I think I learned an interesting thing. I did a film earlier this year. I'm very excited to see it, but it shot on 16 millimeter, and it was my first time working on something that shot on film. And I knew that was going to limit the amount of takes for sure, but there is something that I can't even... Like, I need to get on another set that's shooting film, because there is something that is just like, you lock in a really different way inside your body whenever it's like I have maybe 2 takes. They might just run. If I do it on the first one, they're just gonna go. You know what I mean? And I feel like with self-tape, it's the opposite, because I'm in my room and I could record that all day and it's probably not gonna get any better. But I could just run that thing because it's digital, of course. But like on set, I just feel like there is a lock in of like I'm on other people's time. And we're here, and it's a group effort, and now is the moment to do it. You know, there's a lot of confirmation there, but I remember shooting on that film and just being like, I got to nail this right now. You know what I mean? And it was just kind of like, okay.
Yeah, we don't have hard drives to spare. We have
we gotta go.
I remember reading a conversation between Paul Thomas Anderson, who directed The Phantom Menace, and Daniel Day-Lewis.
For the Phantom Thread?
But he was talking about, they shot that on film.
Yes.
And he was talking about when they would do takes, they'd have, he's like, okay, we only have a little bit left. So let's do it one more time and do it fast. And that was he said almost always the take that they used.
Whoa.
So it's just interesting when the physical limitation of the tape. And they're like, okay, we only have, the distance is less, so the time is less, so that's dictating the performance.
Oh my gosh.
And then to have that be the thing that ends up being picked is like,
wow.
A cool testament to the benefits of limitations. You know?
No, I love it.
Just to jump it for a second, make the musical comparison. It's the same thing with music, where like maybe people listening to this are have home studios and work on hard drives and have a Logic or Pro Tools or whatever, and you basically can record forever. You can edit forever. There's no restrictions, and there's a lot of problems that generates. For the obvious one is like overthinking and over editing and fixing everything that shouldn't be fixing. All of a sudden, everything's perfect and has no joy and no life.
Oh, yeah.
And whereas if you have, like, back in my very first record, this is a long time ago, but I recorded this studio in Seattle. Carney Barton, he's probably long since passed. He was an older man then, but he had the amazing old Audio Technica, Universal Audio mics, and a studio that had been around since like the 60s, and he had this kind of home lab in Fremont in Seattle, and but he had that. It was a two-track tape, and just recording that, it was like basically the whole record was live. And I still have the record. I mean, I sold that thing. That was the beginning of my musical career.
That is awesome.
And it's like, it's so difficult to listen to now because I was young and it was terrible. But there was something so real about it, and that's man, let's do a 16 millimeter film.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, I was also going to ask, I mean, like, isn't it interesting? I think about this very often when I listen to music, which is weird. It's a really heady thing to listen to, but I used to make music a lot, and I still like compose for whenever I direct things. I kind of write music for it. But for you doing music and producing, isn't it weird when you just have a feeling that it's like, oh, that's done and that's enough. That's right. Because I feel like it's easy. Same with self-tapes, where it's just like, I can do that again. I can do that again. I can do this. But isn't it weird whenever it's just like there is a weird inner confirmation that's just like, I'm satisfied. I don't need to try to perfect whatever that spontaneity was when you're recording and stuff. You know what I mean?
I will say that I don't have that experience ever.
Really?
I don't. And that's something I've had to learn the hard way over the course of decades now, and many records, because I've produced several records. And in some of those circumstances, there was limitations of time depending on the way I recorded it. I've recorded records in some weird ways. One of them was I did one in 2016 where I got some gear and a battery, a heavy duty battery, and I recorded this record in Idaho where I grew up, outside in all these places. Recorded like the basic tracks, like guitar and vocal, and then I was on tour. That was this time in my life I was on tour more than I wasn't. And mostly by myself, just driving around from gig to gig. And I had different friends in different cities, in Portland and Seattle and LA, and I'd arranged it in advance. And so I'd stop by a hotel or their house and set up all the gear, and then we'd do an overdub. And so in that situation, there was a little bit of a limitation, but I still like put all the arrangements together back when I got to Nashville. And I have found that a producer, I am not. Like, I can do other people and I feel okay and can make that shot call. But like with me, I really have a hard time. I mean, I don't like hearing the way I don't like hearing myself sing. I don't like watching my own performances.
you.
Really, you know,
I
it's
hear you.
informative.
Yeah.
But information is painful. It's not
Oh,
inspiring
yeah.
to see yourself. To me, I'm just like,
I
oh, I
get
could
it.
have, I could have.
I know.
But the same thing with singing. I'm just like, oh, I never quite know when to pull the trigger. And I'll just button this piece up.
Yeah.
I recorded a song with a friend of mine who's a fantastic musician and producer, a former guest on the podcast, Anthony DaCosta. And I just hired him to make one song let's just try this, do this one song. I had this song and I was like, I love this song and I want to see what somebody else would do with it. And the experience of walking into the studio, somebody else's studio, where somebody else was driving, and I was just the artist. And like I sat there, and he like I didn't even touch micro. It was like back when I was a kid,
Yeah.
when I like didn't have any gear or anything, and he set all the mics up, and I just sat there and I played, and he produced the track around me, and then when I went home, and he like just sent me a track. He's like, "What do you think of this?" And it was just like such a joy.
Yep.
I didn't make the call. I just wrote the song and I sang. And somebody else was like, "That's good." And I was like, "It's a little pitchy right there." And he's like, "I fucking love it." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Yeah, I do too, actually."
Dude, well, two things I love being in the hands of other creatives. And I feel like on film sets, whether I walk away hating what I did or I see all the mistakes, there was an editor, there was a director, there was a producer,
They all signed off.
these people. They had to approve it and they had to let it go. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so I feel like I have to carry that with me. But even in that situation, it's like I showed up, I did my part, and I just love being in the hands of creatives that I trust. And you earn that trust, getting to know them and whatever, working with them. But when you trust them and when they're good, it's awesome because you got to just give it and let it go like
Totally.
that. And I love that. I love being in the hands of other creatives like that. And
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the things that's so great about being on set. It's because you've already got the gig. They picked you. And now it's totally different than like playing a show in Nashville. Sometimes you can feel like you're in front of a room of folks with their arms crossed waiting for you to do something stupid or say something stupid or not be cool enough or whatever. This is like getting into my own hangups and stuff. But when you're on set and you book the thing, everyone's on your side.
Yes.
And that feels just incredible.
So
you don't
good.
have to earn anybody's respect. You don't have to. Everyone's just like, we're here for you. Just do what you did. We picked you.
Yes, and I feel like you touched on something. Whenever you told your friend you felt a little pitchy there, and he said, "I love it." I've realized one of the only confirmations that I can really like lean on sometimes, or makes me feel good at least, is when I watch myself perform, and I don't love doing that, first of all, but when I watch myself perform and I see or feel when I was either recording or it's after that I did something that I couldn't repeat. Like it's a spontaneous, it's a moment. It was either the other actor was giving me something that I just had a reaction to it that I couldn't repeat. I chase that. Like I love the spontaneity that pops up when you're recording, and you have to be so present in the moment that it's like you take it and run. But I love that's the stuff where it's like what you were saying. It's like, are you sure about that? And he says, I love it. I feel like that's the flavor, is like when you have those moments where it's like you can't do that again. That was so in the moment. It happened all of a sudden, and it's just like you can't repeat it. I feel like that stuff's so unique and original, and it makes things unique and original. And
there was a podcast I was just listening to like 2 days ago that I'm a fan of called The Working Songwriter. Joe Pug runs it. He's an amazing songwriter, I'd say. And he has fantastic people that are doing it at the highest level on his show. And there's this band that he had on, this like my favorite band presently in the world, called Bonnie Light Horseman. And it's a trio. And the guitar player for that band was talking about how at this point in his career, in his life, the thing that he's living for in music and in creativity is just the surprise. And like when he surprised himself, that's the joy. That's the best thing ever. And I was like, that resonates so strongly. I think that's what you're saying too. It's just like when you're just in a thing and you would never have like thought to do this in advance. It just came out. That's great. It reminds me of a story. I can tell you a quick story. A long time ago. When I was 22 or something, I did this exchange program in college where I went to West Virginia for a semester, and I was really into bluegrass music. I was in Bellingham, Washington at the time.
I love it.
Drove across country, never been east of the Mississippi, find myself in Appalachia, and I long story short, ended up going to the snake handling church a number of times in McDowell County, West Virginia.
Whoa.
And it's called the Church of the Lord Jesus. And I got in with the folks there. They just liked me okay. And I ended up going back repeatedly. And I'd stayed in their trailer at nights and stuff. I got it was an amazing experience, a formative experience for me. It's life changing to say the least, and a story that I've have been working on ever since. And I've told the story of this experience in many forms, in song and otherwise. Working on a novel right now that's sort of based on it. Anyway, there was one of the things that was just so crazy about it was church, and it was like sober as hell. You know, it was like basically like floor length dress style, Pentecostal, speaking in tongues type of church. But there was the band at the church was just insane. It was just I've been to Dead shows back when Jerry was still alive, and it was like a Dead show. It was it was like psychedelic in its energy, and that's part of the reason why snakes got ripped out of boxes and handed around, because there's just some weird juju in the air, right? Dude. Anyway, the guitar player for this band was insane, and his name was Booty. I don't know his last name. His name was Booty, and I remember I was so young and hungry, and I was really into Tony Rice and flat pick, and I just want to talk to musicians about playing guitar. And after the service, we're eating like fried chicken. I'm like, Booty, man, that's fantastic playing. Oh, thank you. And I'm like, how did you, who'd you study? Like, what are your influences? And he's like, well, I don't know, just mostly just God shows me stuff. And I was just like, whoa, that's a great answer.
That is the coolest answer in the world. Oh my God.
Mostly just God shows me stuff. I've just never, always thought about that. It's and it applies to so many things, in acting, when you surprise yourself, it's like God showed you something, it's just you didn't generate that. It happened, the origin was somewhere else.
I don't know about you, but I'm very prayerful and intentional with walking into things. I really try to let it go, and I'm praying for it, and I'm believing, and it's a lot. I believe being an artist is a huge faith game. Whether you're a believer or not, it's just that's a lot of faith in yourself and in who you're going to be around and who you're working with. And so anyways, I'm incredibly prayerful, but I think what's amazing is the 2020 vision, walking out of things and being a lot of that was not me, and that was very chance coincidences. And if you believe that they're coincidences, I don't. And I think that's amazing. I love that story, man. I mean, it's not often that it's so clear like that, but when it is, it's incredible. It's really amazing.
I totally agree. Yeah. I also just think that in general, people are a little quick to take credit for their own inventions. Ooh. Because in the moment of creation, what's really going on there? You know what I mean? What's real? I've thought about this a zillion times, because every time I've sat down, of all the things I've ever done, the things I've had most success in were songwriting. And that's what led me to Nashville and gave me the career I have. And to this day, I have no idea how to write a song. You know what I mean? I really don't know how to do it. Yeah. And whenever I sit down, it's no, I don't think everybody wants to write a song in a way, because it's just painful and just difficult. And what are you supposed to do here? And what's this song even going to be about? And how to find your way into it? All these questions. And then at some point, if you're lucky and you stayed seated for a long enough time, you have a song. Yeah. And it's I can say that I wrote that song, and I did, I guess, for convenient purposes. But when I'm actually when the synapses are firing, and whatever that weird alchemy is that's happening in the room and in my head, is that me that's doing that? What, you just don't really know for sure. It's a little clumsy to say it's me.
Well,
it's something.
I fully agree. I think looking at the root of it, I feel the Bible says that we're made in God's image, and God is a creator. So I feel innately every human wants to create. So it's just well, that makes sense. And I feel it's all a math problem that is just on a different plane when we start creating. I feel our bodies are moving our minds are freeing up in a strange place. I feel it really is a weird supernatural thing to create, even at its simplest. You know what I mean? It's a math problem.
I agree. And I would say that I think at the center of the intention of this podcast is to touch on the sacred and the vulnerable in every creative pursuit. And I feel like the effort to create something on whatever level, like it doesn't matter if you're a professional and you're making a Broadway musical or you're a dad at home just rifling off a little ditty for his daughter. Just like whenever you step into this place of possibility, it's so special, and it is truly like a place removed from the mundane world. And I think that furthermore, to step into that place is to step into a place of essential vulnerability. And in that essential vulnerability is something that we all have in common. And I have friends all over the place, religiously and politically, and I'm very grateful to have those relationships with so many different kinds of people, even people that I'm just like, that's way out there for me, like in my mind and in my mundane life. But like I can work with that person and take a step with that person. And I mean, that's why I have great hope for the future. In spite of everything, it's like such a crazy time we live in, but because the human need, just to like bring us back to what you said, the human need to create has a celestial origin. You know what I mean?
It's so like crazy. I don't know. It's like, why do we want to do that?
Very mysterious.
It's like, it's really mysterious, but I feel it with acting. I feel it with writing or directing or all these things. It's just like, it's like, what a joy and a gift to like collaborate with people. It's like totally, it is like in our spirit, like kids wanting to draw pictures and color. It's just like, it's just in us, you know, it's in our like ones and zeros, man. I don't know.
Totally. We were shooting this short film, Rand and I, and a bunch of our friends last spring, and we just finished it. It's on the film festival circuit right now. And it's a piece of a feature that I wrote. That's kind of our next big project we're working up towards. So we shot this thing, and it has this super intense scene. And we shot it in our kitchen, and where basically it's like an attempted rape. It's so heavy. And the guy that we cast to do it, actor in the community, Ben Winters, amazing actor.
I love Ben, dude. I'm
big
number
fans.
one Ben fan, dude. Incredible guy.
He's got fans everywhere he goes. Love him, and an amazing performance. So creepy, so scary.
Dude, I can't wait.
Like we wrap, everybody goes home, and Randa and I were just sitting in the kitchen laughing our asses off because like Randa's this like super buttoned up professional, like medical professional. Ben's like a respected attorney in town, and we just like we had all these grown adults in our kitchen, like
playing pretend
about something just so horrible, and I'm just like trying to get it, like so scared. I'm like sitting there right there, like, no, Ben, you gotta like.
It's insane what we do. Oh my god, that is so funny, especially their job's perspective to what we do. It's insane.
Exactly, and but that's just like to play like that and be adults and like. As soon as you step into the world of play, to me, like anything goes almost. I'm just this on purpose. This short in particular is like, it's not a family show, but we just wanted to like. That's one of the things I think that I really like about movies, and I think that not everybody feels this way. And I also could make an argument against what I'm about to say, but is that it gives you like a release valve in a safe way to something dangerous and forbidden that you don't want to live there, and you shouldn't live there, and it's not good, but it's inside, like this Jungian idea of the shadow self. And Jung thought, I'm a big fan of this cat, that you don't really you're not a whole person until you've integrated your shadow self. You've acknowledged that part of you.
Oh man.
And I think that's goes for what's good for the goose is good for the gander. I think it's a social societal thing as well. And movies and songs and stories, horror is a way to enter this like forbidden place in a safe way. You go there and it's like, oh, it's scary, it's icky, terrible things happen. You see stuff that is real in the world, and then the movie's over and you can go home. And so it's like it's like a way of like releasing you know, some steam.
I think you're so right on the money about that. I think when I was shooting Terrifier 3 earlier this year, honestly, a lot of nerves leading up. I mean, like, I haven't seen it, and it's premiering at Fantastic Fest today, I think tonight. And so I'm interested to read online and see what people
As of the
say
taping,
about
it will have aired about a month or
That's
premiered
right.
about a month ago.
Yes. But anyways, I'm very eager to see what people think. But it's another thing where it was just like, when we were shooting, there was also that creative play where it was just like, this is so ridiculous and fun, even when it was feeling so scary and like the violence was so like up here. It just was like, we were laughing after they called cut. You know what I mean? It was just like, it was fun. And, but part of me was also wondering, I was just like, why are we like imagining these crazy things? And I totally agree. I think it is, people love to react and feel affected by something. And I feel like there's a lot of great creativity and fun to be had in a world that can actually scare you, and then it ends, and then you're in the comfort of wherever you are with the people you're with. And you kind of get to put yourself in these characters' shoes, and you feel like you're just in the ride with them, you know? But I totally was on set, and I was like, this is a lot of blood. I can't believe we're coming up with this stuff. It's crazy. But
I mean, of all the genres, horror is the one that so most readily lends itself to cinema. I feel like, just in the most obvious way, because it's just like, blood always looks great on camera. Always good.
Yes.
Always a good choice.
Absolutely. But yeah, man, it was a blast, and I can't wait to see how it looks. I think people are gonna love it.
Let's just talk for a moment about your geographical change. I'm just out of curiosity and what we have in common there. Because like I said, I lived in Bellingham. I went to college up there, and then I lived in Seattle for about 5 years before I moved here.
Wow.
And where did you grow up?
Dude, I grew up, like, when I was 7, my family moved here to Hendersonville, and that's kind of where I
you grew up
mostly grew up. Yeah. But I was born in Bellingham. And so my dad grew up, he went to Western Washington, I think.
That's where I graduated from.
That's insane.
Yeah, crazy. Was he a hippie, your dad?
He was a rock star. He played guitar, and he was in some bands, and he still plays his electric upstairs and all that. So it's a lot of fun. That totally rubbed off on me. His guitar stuff. He's way better than me though. But anyways, he grew up there, and then my mom was kind of around that area at the time too. So I think they met there. But yeah, we moved to Nashville, but all of our extended families in the Pacific Northwest. I think my mom's side's in Oregon, but everyone else is like Issaquah or like Bellevue area.
Yeah, sure.
And so we go every year to like go hang out when the weather's great. You know, so in the summertime, we'll go spend a month there.
August or whatever. Yeah.
So good.
Would you ever consider having, your career be where it's at, full of young man, full of promise, and, you're booking a lot? Would you ever move to LA or New York, or
dude,
have you thought about that? Or what are your feelings?
It's complicated. No, it's not. But I love New York, and I love LA. I think LA was a little bit of a culture shock when I went this year. It was just a little different. Not having like a group of friends there was a little like, oh, if I moved here, I'd have to get planted. Like, I'd have to find like a tennis group or something. I'd have to meet some people. You know what I mean? But I love it, man. I mean, thankfully, with the state of auditions, my team is out in LA, New York, and then I have a Southeast rep here, so I can kind of like audition from anywhere, which is like, that's what a gift that is. But I would love to, like, when the time is right, I think it'd be amazing to go spend some time out there. But I don't know. What about you? What about Nashville keeps you here, do you think?
Well, it's a nice place to live.
Yes.
And I've spent 20 years here. And so I as much as I've ever had a community, I have that here. Yeah. And I think Nashville is just a fantastic place to live.
It's so great.
Creative people.
Yeah.
I mean, musically and with film, I'm really involved in the writing scene here, the book world.
Oh, sweet.
And that's like large and growing. It's an exciting time to be part of that. So it's kind of like a trifecta for me. That said, I'm originally from Idaho, southern Idaho, and that's where my spirit still. That's my spirit animal. Is the tufted titmouse, I think, is the state bird of Idaho. We like just like you go to Seattle every summer. We try to go to Idaho, and
Dude, so good.
We're about to have our first child in a couple of months, and I think about that a lot because I had such a great childhood. I had I had a swimming in the river, rope swings kind of childhood. I mean, and I think there was like a lot of things about that were really good for me. Like I don't have any allergies or anything, and I think it's because I was so dirty. Like I was just like outside all the time. It was just pathogens that like built up. So good. I think about that. I don't really think about that, but it was so beautiful to grow up there, and I love it there. And I think I'd rather raise kids out there than in Nash Vegas. But the opportunities, I think about that too. I don't know. It's an ongoing conversation.
I think the Pacific Northwest is just like one of the most beautiful looking places in the country. It's just like you got it all. You got rivers, you got the lake, you got the ocean, you got mountains. And
it's beautiful.
It's incredible. And I remember my younger years visiting Washington and just feeling like that was like the place I was looking forward to being every summer was just like on the lake or hiking with my dad and my family out there. I just think you could go skiing, you could do all these things that my family loves doing. But anyways, there's so much adventure out there. So,
I would say one thing that I noticed when I first moved here, and I was like 20 years ago, I was dating this biologist, and she saw everything through the lens of biodiversity.
Wow.
And she was just like really down on the West because she was just like, ugh, it's a monoculture out there. And she was talking about the plants and animals because there really are like so many more varieties of both in Appalachia and in the Southeast.
Yeah.
But I was like, the same is kind of true for culture because it's like, it's a beautiful area, but there's not the diversity of culture and approaches to life that there are here. There's just more, and I think that's partly because there's just less space. Maybe not so that the coast there's not a ton of space, but like as soon as you get 20 miles off the coast in like Washington State or something, it's just like land for days, and there's plenty for everybody. And like I really grew up in a situation where, and I think this mentality of like if you didn't like your neighbors or you didn't like whatever you were in, you could just leave. You could just go away and be by yourself. And I have that very strongly in my personality. I don't think that's so great. I think it's sort of great in a way of like you can kind of be an individual. I think I'm individualistic in my tendencies, but in like I think that there's that saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Whoa.
And I think there's a go together element to living in a more socially complex area that is great for people and creative people in particular.
Let's go Pacific Northwest.
Okay, well, let's see. What else do I wrote? Anything else? Okay. Well, our last little bit, we're kind of coming up on it. But you have pivoted from just being a pure actor, and this is kind of what this full circle moment from the beginning of the conversation, because you're a successful and by my estimation exploding actor, but you're not sitting there waiting for the phone to ring, and you're busy on the other side of the camera. And maybe you could talk about like what got you into that, or what that looks like.
My dad was always very tech savvy. He loved cameras and he loved shooting, loved movies. So I totally grew up and like he was playing music and he had a camera and he was just kind of shooting stuff with me. And I think that's when I was just like, whoa, what is editing? What is shooting, directing? And I fell in love with directing first, I think, when I was a kid. And eventually it led to finding more opportunities to do stuff was theater, because I didn't know a lot of kids that were like, I got a camera, let's go shoot, when I was really young. But eventually acting was then like my lead. And then all of a sudden I found a group of friends in middle school and all we did was make short films for our YouTube channel. And we just loved it, and anyways, it just never went away. Like I'm a little camera nerd and I love like experimenting with gear and like building on that. But I found that one thing that's frustrating as an actor is that I couldn't control when I was getting booked or like being employed. And I was auditioning, I was trying my best, and I really wanted to work. I was hungry. And I just started finding people that I love that had shared interests. I remember one of my best buddies, Jack Dixon, in high school. We met in theater. We were the only video people that like were really serious about it. And so then we just started writing and shooting stuff. And it felt like I realized that I had the power to book myself, you know, because no one else was asking for that. But I really got to cut my teeth trying different roles or trying different genres or techniques with the camera. And so kind of bouncing back and forth I was hiring myself as an actor, but I was also learning more about the camera department and what the directing side of things looks like. And it really felt like I was enlisting myself into film school. You know what I mean? Because I was just running through the trenches, trying to figure things out and like, oh, that didn't work. Now I know how to do that better. Oh, that's how they do it. Oh, I see. And man, it's gotten to a point where, I mean, now I have a production company called The Day Productions, and the name came from the first short film that I ever made with my dad. It was called The Day the Toys Came to Life, and it was this hilarious little short film that I made with my dad. But
was it like stop motion or something? That's where my mind goes.
Sort of like that. It was like it was me being a kid wishing that my toys were real, and then I kind of have this weird nightmare that they do come to life. So it was a lot of like our hands are right on the outside of frame as we're like moving the tail of the dinosaur into frame, you know, stuff like that. But I fell in love with movie making that day, you know, and so that was kind of the day that I fell in love with it. But anyways, it kind of just gotten to a point where I kind of freelance direct for music videos here. There's a lot of opportunities for that, but on the side of that, I'm writing and producing with a lot of my friends because we want to make features eventually. You know, we want to be a part of movie making. Whenever I'm not acting, I want to be doing that. And so it's been fun, man. And I just love bouncing back and forth, kind of like you and music with acting and music and this stuff. It's just like creatives we got so many outlets we want to go make stuff. You know, and,
I mean, to your point that you made just at the beginning of this was. When you're acting, you really are like fulfilling somebody else's vision. And for some people that's enough and that's great and wonderful. But if you were a person that wants to tell your own story, there's always the kind of something else beyond acting in somebody else's thing that's kind of there. And so I can totally relate to that. Have you seen The Fabelmans, the Spielberg?
Loved it so much.
I did too. Dude. I mean, how did you not like just
Spielberg
what you're talking about? You know, the story of his. I loved the bit about if you remember this. He's trying to figure out. He's shooting a little war movie in high school, and it's a great little movie technique. But they cut back and forth between the shots of like him with his little 16 millimeter shooting his buddies, and his mom who was like a piano player, and she was like performing for the family, just like in their living room. And I think she like kind of has a mental breakdown in this moment. And she takes a pencil and she's like stabbing the sheet music. And he realizes in a flash that if he punches holes in the film, then it'll make the guns look like they're exploding. I just
so
like,
good,
such
man.
a great, like insight into it. I'm sure that's 100% biographical, autobiographical.
Dude. And I think what was so funny about that movie was like, I don't think there was much of anything unique about growing up and wanting to be a filmmaker because that movie just showed that it was like, we were all feeling the same thing. Like all of us that wanted to direct or be a part of movies, we had the friends that had nothing to do with acting or anything showing up, dying on the battlefield because we're making a war movie. And it's just like, why are we doing this? It's like, you know what I mean? But I loved that movie. I feel like it was so honest in a way that was just like, it touched on things that you feel as an artist, a young artist,
for sure,
know, growing up. And it's
just
so
that
honest
need to make. There's just the desire to make. I was thinking about that. I was on set yesterday. I too am working.
I was filming.
I was just yesterday. I was on set with my friends. But I was sitting there. There's a lot of downtime on set. It's not like
hurry up and wait.
Super glamorous. Yeah, it's totally lots of hanging out, trying not to eat the snacks. Crafty. But I was just looking around and I was like, this is so funny because every single person on this set is like a grown ass adult. And what is it about people that they just, as soon as the camera comes out, people kind of want to be part of it, or maybe a lot of people, I guess people that I know.
Yeah.
It's just
For
like
sure.
your friends, even if they don't, even a casual interest would be like, yeah, I'll be a dead guy. You know, I'm like, oh, that sounds
Yes.
great. No problem.
Yes.
Background talent. I was just like, there's a lot of background in this particular scene. And, you know, on one level, I'm just like, oh man, that's a lot to do.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you know what? If you just are, you have the day off and it's like hang out at home and mow the lawn, or just like hang out on a set and dress up and pretend.
People seem to show up because it's fun.
It's just
like
fun.
They love it.
It's
They have
just
fun,
fun to
you
play
know?
pretend.
Gosh, I just have the best
Yeah.
time on sets, dude. It's really so silly what we get to do, but amazing and
Yeah.
fulfilling and fun. And God, I love it.
Is there anything else coming up that, you know, you're particularly excited about that's on the horizon?
Dude, well, man, let me think. I got a couple shorts coming up, a few that I just acted in here with some really incredibly talented people. And
Who you can drop
Nashville.
some names. I'm just curious.
Dustin Haney, dude. Oh God, I worked on a music video with him like years ago, and then he called me about this film that he's doing, and one of my favorite shooting experiences here in Nashville. So I can't wait to see that. It's about a punk rock band in the 2000s, so it's just it's gritty
Fantastic.
and crazy and fun, and I got that coming up. Dude, I got this other feature coming out soon called Bad Haircut, and it's this kind of throwback 2000s thriller comedy. And dude, we shot in Michigan, and it's awesome, and it's such a good script.
Another
And,
short. Is it a short or?
It's a feature. And they're doing a private screening soon in October, so I'm excited to go watch it.
in Michigan?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And so, anyways, some fun stuff coming up, man. But yeah, I'm writing and staying active, producing over here in the meantime, and love sharing that stuff. So we'll see what happens.
Well, I'm not going to worry about you too much, man. You got a lot going on, and I think your future's pretty bright. And it doesn't really matter because you're making your own sunshine, you know.
Oh,
and I feel
man.
like as long as you're doing that, it's just like this is such a blessing to even have the opportunity to make something in this world.
So fun. It's so fun. You gotta take it easy, treat it light, because that's what it is. Even though we can get so serious about what we're making, sometimes it's like just connecting to that source of joy and the fact that you are getting to create is just that's really what it's all about, you know. But
100%.
man, when you're feeling in that groove, it's the best. So, yeah.
Mason McCarty, thank you for stopping by, man.
Dude,
it's great to talk to you.
Thank you for having me, man. This
Cheers.
is great. Thanks.
Hey, thanks for watching. Go ahead and click here to like and subscribe. You can click right there to watch another video, or click here to watch a playlist featuring songs of the Morse Code podcast. Okay, thank you very much.